All right, everyone's in here. All right, and we don't have to, oh, you, okay, not perfect.
I'll just let you know if like there's any screen share.
All right. Perfect. Let me get all of this stuff out my screen first. I could just have to wait. Escaped. Just escape, but so I want to go back to the first slide. So. It's all good. I'll leave it stop this year.
This is only you can try meeting voting controls and then just take a state one.
Oh, my God. There it is. Okay. All right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for coming through. My name is Jason, and I am the president of the XR Club here at UMD. So virtual reality, augmented reality, anything in between. The person who will actually be leading this workshop is one of our mentors here, Dotton. So before we start, how many of you guys have heard of Unity? Right? Oh, like a lot of people. So I will let Dotton ask the question, take it from here.
Okay, since some of you have heard of Unity, what is Unity?
Turn this one off. Yeah. And then turn.
The slides are open.
Oh, I think we could. Looking better? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so as I was saying, what is Unity? Anyone? Or what is Unity, the word? Yeah. Anyone else? The readings here. There are no wrong answers here. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So most of you answered Unity, the platform. But let's start with the definition of the word Unity. It means the quality or state of not being multiple. And Unity is made to stand together. So as most of you all talked about, you know that Unity is a game platform, but it's also the world's leading platform for real-time content creation, which is not only game development. Unity can be used for other things. Things such as create effects in film, developing architecture, and automobiles. And for some examples of that, I'm going to show you a video of a film.
Audio, you guys can imagine. Yeah, these are just some films that are made in Unity. It just goes way beyond making there. Ask them if you could that we can help them. Turn down the light a little bit.
Yeah, we tried to.
except for the fact we have no audio.
Yeah. I'm gonna show you a couple more videos.
This is example of architecture made with Unity.
This is share, let me try again.
For the
Like stop sharing and then you can share them, like ask them about it if you want to share. Stop sharing. And then share them. Wait, I share something. Think we got it?
What's up?
We got it. They're just gonna share something.
Okay. Alright, so good.
You can see that.
Just, yeah, just let me know.
Is it working now? or-
Just let me know.
and just one more. As you can see, you can use Unity for a lot of things. I'm not sure what you guys are gonna make here at Technica, but I know it's gonna be amazing. And if you do use Unity, there are a bunch of options for you to do. So a lot of you mentioned when I asked you what is Unity, you mentioned that it's a game engine. And you've seen it's more than just a game engine, but it's very good for being a game engine as it's known for that. There are many games made with Unity, one of them being Among Us. I'm sure some of you played that. Fall Guys, Cuphead, and Genshin Impact, and Pokemon Go. So why Unity? Unity is useful for a lot of things. You can do a lot of things in Unity, developing GUIs, graphics, is using physics as a tool in Unity, networking, scripting, and more. And I'll hand off to Jason to get you set up for developing your environment.
So as you guys can see, it goes way beyond making a video game, right? They call themselves a content creation platform, right? So don't limit yourself to the mindset of making a video game with what you learn here today. But before we can talk to you guys about making Unity. I want you to actually install Unity. So I'll go through the process there. It is a little bit of a long process. And I also go through the process of getting the Unity student plan, which comes with some benefits. The best one being dark mode. Like, who likes working in light mode? So first and foremost, and good that I have my screen here. I'm just going to move this. You guys want to go to the Unity website here. And it should be. Actually, just search up Unity student plan. So just search that. Right, and then once you are here, and I'll give everyone a moment to go there. You guys are all post-secondary students, so maybe we have some high school students here. I'm not sure. You can click get started. It'll ask you to make an account if you have not already. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any help here, any help. We have 4 different people who are willing to walk around, help you. Just raise your hand a little bit, and I'll come right over. What version? So just search up Unity student plan, right? And so we'll first get you guys a student plan, then we'll download the Unity Hub and the Unity editor. And if we have enough time, we'll go over the Unity interface a little bit, maybe give you guys some resources. Yeah, post-secondary students. So let me go back. Yep. And so once you get to the part where you get to create an account, you don't have to use your student email. You will have to, it'll ask you, I've already done this. So it's not gonna, you're not gonna see it on my screen there, but it will ask you to put your institution and then your full name. And then it should quickly recognize you as a student of the University of Maryland, and you should see this page here. If it doesn't, and it requires you to do a form of ID, you can just quickly upload your student ID, and in seconds, most of the time, it'll recognize you as a University of Maryland student there. And yeah, I'm just gonna walk around, see how people are doing with that. If anyone needs any help, your laptop's dead. It's tragic. Good. So if you go to Unity student plan, and then you do. Yeah, I know that the Wi-Fi here is kind of bad, so.
Something else.
So yes, when you click on it, you have to just make an account with your Unity Ideas. Is basically your Unity account where you can connect to all the games that you make, or anything you make in Unity. If you actually want to put ads when you launch it, test informatics and stuff, that's what the Unity ID is. But for this, you need to make an account to make the student ID. Hope that answers your question. And you can use your personal email. You do not have to use your Turk mail if you don't want to. Got you. Are you a high school student? You can just click on high school student there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, go to return to Unity. Let's see. Usually when they have this there, they ask you for more. We're good on time. And then sign in with the account you made. All right, and then just search up the Unity student plan.
Here.
Just search up in UA, yeah. Okay. Okay, go down. You go post-secondary. Let's see if this works. Yeah, continue. Huh. Yeah, this is weird. And they gave you the form, right? And you put your name and everything. So what I would do is I would contact them. Fortunately, you don't really need the student plan to continue with this workshop. There, it just gives you some added benefits there. Yeah, yeah, you can make another account maybe. Okay. All right, anyone else having trouble spelling yearly? Back to the slides. Some more questions in the chat. So what is the Unity ID? So what Unity ID is basically just the username for your Unity account. And the Unity account is what you use to organize and format all your games or anything you make with Unity. If you actually want to launch it, put ads on it, right? See information about how much your users are using it there, or you get the Unity student plan, which we're doing right now. So that is a Unity ID. Yep, so you go to Unity student plan. So if you just search Unity student plan. And if you're unable to verify right now, you don't need the Unity student plan to download Unity. It just gives you some added benefits there. But yeah, you would go to post-secondary student. I did this one last time. And then once you fill out the form that they gave you, you can click continue and it'll say congratulations. And so what this gives you is, like I said, it gives you dark mode, which is very beneficial. It also gives you some free assets. And what assets are basically maybe scripts that someone else made, or in this case, 3D models that you can just, for free. We all love free raw college students here, that you can import into your game. Right, and then it also gives you a Unity Pro license. And what the Unity Pro license is, it's worth $1,800. So I wouldn't expect anyone to buy that themselves. So we give it for free for students there, and it just gives you more functionality with the Unity ID that you probably won't use if you're just a beginner, but it's definitely helpful there. So once you've enrolled, you can check your email, right? You can go check your email and you should get 3 email confirmations, right? You should get these three different email confirmations. Give everyone a moment to check that. So I would say Unity is not a 3D modeling. You can 3D model in Unity, and you can definitely export that into the web. So that's the question is a yes, but it's not anything. That's not strength, right? If you want to, you can use Blender, and Blender is a great 3D modeling software. You can also integrate into the web there, but you can integrate any 3D model you get from the web into Unity, right? So you can get anything from the website and get it into Unity to use for whatever you want to use, whatever project you want to use it for. All right, and did you guys get the email confirmation? All right, and so what the email confirmation is here is, I'll just pull up mine from 6 months ago. All right, let me just go to Gmail here. Unity. Right. This is the student plan. Let's see. The student. And it's loading. Right, so this will be the first email. Let me know if you guys want me to zoom in here. And it'll tell you the benefits of the Unity student plan. And then it'll give you instructions on how to download Unity Editor, which we'll do together here. And it'll also tell you how to assign yourself a subscription seat, which is the very next thing we'll do. So that's the first email. The next email is going to be come to the Unity. This, right? And so this serial number is actually going to be very important. It's how you're actually going to activate your student plan once you install the Unity Editor there. So just keep that in mind while we're installing the Unity Editor. And then the very last email is going to be just give yourself a seat. And this is the one we're going to be using right now. Seat. Let's see. Sign. I should use student tab. Yep. Right. And so what this is, it's going to give you a unique code. Right. This is the email we're going to be using right now. Right. It should say, congratulations, your student status is confirmed. It's going to give you a unique code to assign yourself a seat on the Unity ID for the student plan. So does everyone see this email and need help? It's okay. We'll get it started and then yeah. So what I would do is I would actually still contact them. You don't need you need to actually stay with this person, but it's just gives you the added benefits here. But yeah. Right. So once you have this code right here, right? This is the one we're using right now. It's going to be an email that's titled, congratulations, your student status is confirmed. You're gonna click on use code now. You're going to go to your Unity account, right? Spelled that completely wrong, but the Unity ID, you're gonna sign in. You're gonna go to account, right? You're gonna click on your account. You're gonna click on add seats, right? Everyone's following me. Right, and then you're gonna see whatever username. AF is just the initials for my name. It doesn't mean what you think it means. And then you're gonna click on add. You're gonna see this Unity student, and you can just click on add, right? And I'm gonna do that right now. And that should be that should confirm that you have a student plan and everything. And you should see something like this where you have assigned yourself a seat for the student plan. I'll give everyone a couple minutes to do that. And then we'll go actually install the Unity editor, and look at a little bit of its interface while everyone has it installed. Yes, I can help you out. Excuse me.
How long does a student pay in law school?
It lasts for the whole academic year, so 12 months. Right.
Yeah, when she hits continues.
Normally, when they can't verify you, they ask you to upload your student ID, and that usually takes a couple seconds. They might have changed the platform a little bit. But I would contact them. I would definitely contact them. Unfortunately, you don't need the student plan to continue with this workshop here. So you should be good. It just gives you the added benefits I've said before. There. All right, and then so once you've actually did the ad stream plan, and if you weren't able to, this is something that everyone can do. We're actually going to install the Unity editor, which is basically what you're actually developing in. So if you go to the second email, or you can just search up, let's make this easy for everyone. You can search up Unity Hub, right? And download. And then you can just click on download Unity Hub, right? I actually already have it. So when everyone's is downloading a little bit, it might take some time. I'm just going to show you what the Unity Hub looks like here. It's loading. There it is. Look at that cool animation. Let me get this out of my way. Oh, it did twice. And so what the Unity Hub is just a place where you are going to see all the projects that you have built. It has the projects. It's where you're going to start the Unity editor. Unity editor has different versions. I'll explain what different versions really mean. That's actually what you're coding in. But Unity Hub is just a place where you see all your projects. It has some resources for you. If you want to do a beginner project that actually help you follow through, like some beginner tutorials. I don't think they're going to load here. And then a community page where you can find more people, get some more answers there. And we'll lead you guys some more answers near the end of this there. But yeah, I just have my two projects right now on this. And so what you want to do with the Unity Hub is install the Unity Hub, and then let's see. You should get this approval email and then a pro license key, right? And that pro license key is important because that's how you actually install Unity Pro on your Unity Hub. And then you should also get an asset bundle that hopefully we'll get to import into the project near the end there. So yeah, this is the link to install Unity Hub. Let's see if anyone has any questions. Yes, this has to be on a computer. Okay, so you click here, big red circle, download Unity Hub. Right. Features of Unity Hub, you can activate your licenses, jumpstart your projects, start your first project, right? Download, manage the different Unity versions that you have, and download long-term support versions of Unity or tech streams. And just to talk a little bit about what that is, long-term support versions of Unity are basically versions of Unity that are going to last a long time. They're going to continuously update them over and over again. Like you might see a Unity version that's 2019 Unity, long-term support. You can still use it, right? It's still valid. What tech streams are, there's two major tech streams each year. They're kind of like test runs, like they test new features on people to see if they work. They get the feedback there. And then eventually tech streams will become long-term support versions of Unity. And then Unity versioning, while we're going into installing the actual Unity editor. this means is you see here, I have a 2021 version of Unity, a 2020 version of Unity, and then they had a bunch of different numbers near the end there. So a major change, which is usually yearly, means that you cannot use this version of Unity with the other year version. So you can't use 2021 and expect a 2020 version of Unity to work. Right? If you start a project with 2021, you can't expect it might. You can't, but you can't expect it to work with the 2020 version. Minor might be a minor patch. It should work, but there might be a few changes there. And then patches, which are near the end, these last few numbers, they're backwards compatible. You shouldn't have any issue making them work. And so with that being said, let's actually install Unity Editor. If you have the Unity Hub installed, let's see. So to install the editor, you just want to go to installs and then click on install editor. All right, and you want to download the latest long-term support version there. And I know it might take a while for you. How many of you guys have actually gotten Unity Hub to install? No one. Oh my God. You know what? I'm gonna pivot a little bit because I realize it might take a while for it to install. So I think this time is better off used. I trust that you guys know how to do the installation process. I'm gonna show you guys where actually Unity is, the interface, and how to navigate. So you guys have this might be of more interest to you. So I'm just gonna open up a project. Right. I'm going to start a new project. So as soon as you start a new project, there's a bunch of templates for you. If this will load, right? If you want to make a 3D game, I shouldn't say game. We say it was a content creation platform, right? 3D content, 2D content. Universal Render Pipeline is just a graphics engine that looks a lot better. A 3D mobile something, an AR game, VR, just a different lot of platforms. We'll start with a 3D scene. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it my name. I'm not original. And it's actually located somewhere in your computer, right? So you can see it in location right here. I'm just going to create this project. It's going to begin loading. And like I said, Unity Hub is where you organize and manage all your installations on all your projects. So you're going to see it pop up right there. And so you see this, and this might look really, really intimidating for a lot of people. But trust me, once you know what every single one of these segments mean, it's a lot easier to understand here. So the first thing you have is the scene view. Now, just from a guess from the name, can anyone tell me what the scene view might be? It's this middle part right here. Right? It's not a trick question. Right? What do you think the scene view might be? Go ahead, give me one. The view of my scene, exactly. And so you can think of this as the canvas that you make your art in, right? It's going to be where you're making your games, where you're going to be putting everything there. And then right next to the scene view, there's a tab right here. You might not be able to see in the presentation, but I'm gonna click it. There's the game view. And the game view is basically what the user will see if they were to run whatever application that you're making, right? So you have the scene view and the game view. Right next to the scene view, you have a hierarchy menu. A hierarchy menu is basically a list of everything that's currently in your scene. Right now, what are two things that are in the scene, right? Just directional light and then one more. There's one more thing. Yeah, main camera. Can you guys see that? Okay, okay. Yeah, there's a directional light and a main camera that are in my scene there. And that's where every scene will start with here. What do you think will happen if I delete this directional light? Just from based on the name of it. This is not your question again. If someone was to destroy all the lights in this room, what would happen? It would just go dark, right? And this is their version of dark here. So yeah, those are two things that the scene always starts with: a directional light. And you can change the light settings. So like, let me just make another one there. Let me just, what's y'all favorite color? Just give me a color. Purple, I love purple. Let's see, let's change the intensity of it. And then let's do, if I do a, okay. Oh no, I have to actually put game object there. Unfortunately, it will not turn purple. But you get the point. Right next to the directional light, right next to the scene view to the right of it is an inspector menu. Right, just based on the name of that, can anyone tell me what you think it might be? It's this thing right here, an inspector menu. Just looking at it. It tells you the details, right? Just like an inspector would. And it tells you the detail of anything that's in your scene. The terminology of anything that's in your scene is called a game object. Like this camera is a game object. This directional light is a game object. Anything that you make is a game object there. And so every game object starts with a transform. And I'm gonna ask one more question. I know it seems like I'm quizzing y'all. What do you think a transform is? Right, this thing right here. What does it tell you? Right, it tells you where that game object is in your scene. So let's say I were to move this directional light up, right? You see the y-axis of the position going up right there. As you guys can't see the full thing here, but right there, this is actually fun. But and then it tells you so let me make an empty game object right now. They all start with a transform component, right? Now, if you actually want to add functionality to a game object, you would add different components. Like for example, there's a light component here. This main camera has a camera component. If I were to remove the camera component from this main camera, it can be called main camera, but it wouldn't be a camera, right? The components, which actually gives it its functionality there, and then we have this game object. And then the final major part of Unity is the project menu. And basically what the project menu is, you can think of it like your file explorer, right? It's actually synchronized with your file explorer. If you were to find your project in your file explorer, this is what it looked like. You'll see a scenes folder. And if you were to go into that scenes folder, you'll see a Unity sample scene and all these different things. And this is where all the packages that are in your Unity scene there. Does anyone have any questions about the interface? All right, those are the four big parts of the interface. Okay. All right, perfect. And so back to game objects. Like I was saying before, game objects are the thing in your scene. But game objects by themselves are just containers. You can think of them as just containers. They don't actually do anything, right? What gives it its functionality? I said the word before. What actually gives it its functionality? Components. I think that's what you said. Okay, components are what actually gives us functionality. And you can see it by making, this is just me right clicking, create empty. And this is just what a game object is. This is just a game object with a position in space in our Unity scene here. And it doesn't have any single functionality, right? But if I want to give it something, I can give it, let's make it another camera, right? And I can make this a camera, and it's now a camera. And if I move it, if I were to rotate it, you can see kind of like in the same view here. It's rotating now, and now that game object is a camera in our scene there. To maneuver This would be easier if you guys had Unity installed, but just so that you know, just to maneuver a Unity scene, so I can keep the mic. What you want to do, if you want to rotate, you would just use, if you're using a Mac user, you can orbit, rotate around using the Option key, just looking around. If you want to pan, you can just right click on your thing and use the WASD. You can also pan with this right, this hand tool right here. If you want to pan around your menu scene, just looking around there. And then if you wanted to zoom in and zoom out, just zoom in and zoom out as you would normally do in any different scene, where you might just scroll on your mouse, pull out, or for me, I'm just pressing up on my Mac keyboard and pressing down there. This thing looks kind of blank right now. So let's just add something to it, right? I'm gonna add a 3D object. I'm gonna add a plane, right? And you see this plane here. That is a square. It's also called a plane. And this is actually where you see the directional light come in. Like I was saying before, you can see the directional light because there was nothing in the scene. But if I were to change this color right now, right, it's just a light hitting, right. That is the directional light. How we're doing on time. We have 20 minutes there. Yeah, so you can add a bunch of different game objects to our scene. You got capsule, view, and these are called primitives, right? And so what primitives are is when you're making something, you're not going to start with really advanced, really fancy UI. It wouldn't make sense. It might look nice, but you're not going to get anywhere if you don't get the functionality right. So what most developers like doing is starting with very basic shapes that represent something. Like I can make a cylinder, and let's say I'm gonna call this cylinder me, right? Imagine that I'm the cylinder, right? And that's gonna be our player for the game. And I'm gonna pull up the basic functionality of our game with this cylinder representing me. I can make him move, do other things, etc. Does anyone have any questions about what I've said so far about the scene? Nothing. Questions. So other things you can do. Let's get back to components. Adding some behavior. Some really popular components that you can add. There are maybe a material component. And so what a material component is just it determines the surface of the game object that you have. And so if I see the default material here, I can go into my project menu, click create. Then material, and then I can change this material up to whatever color. No, I like the color purple, so I'm going back to purple. And then I can just add it to my component, right? And that's the functionality that's added to the component. Without this material component, it wouldn't be purple here. Another thing that material can do is you can add texture to it. And textures just it adds 3-dimensionality to 2D objects, right? So for example, it's really computationally expensive to make every single edge for maybe grass or something. So maybe you just want a 3D image of grass, right? So I might search up on the image, 3D image, grass. Right, I can download that. this. Add this to my scene,
Yeah.
right, and I'll add it to my body menu. Slow. I can make my add a green. Add a green and make this our grass. And then to add the texture to the grass, you would just move this, make this full size. Move this here, right? And now it looks like grass there, right? So just adding that three-dimensionality to it there. Does anyone have any questions on how I did that? Or yeah. Yeah. Oh, if I didn't add the green to the plane, so the green, it's really just the color. So if I were to just go back here and leave it the plain white that it was, that it'll just take the color of the texture right there. Now, if I were to make it red, right, you kind of see that it kind of shifts it starts to blend it a little bit. But if you zoom in here, let's look at the plane, you still see the texture of the grass, like right there. Yeah, hey, believe me, trust, right? Trust there. Does anyone else have any questions? Right, and that's how you might make an outfit in your 3D game, or just make parts of your environment, or whatever you really want to make. I guess the most important component is components that you make yourselves, and that's what are called scripts. And so Unity, what's the majors here? What are y'all majors? Just all out. Info sci, comp sci, finance, any immersive media design? I'm just curious. Hey, love it. Love it there. And so what a script is basically just whatever you want to code in, just a small program that adds functionality to your game. And so Unity uses C#, which is very, very similar to Java. Don't let it scare you there. It's a really good learning curve. And just to make a script, I'm just gonna give an example of a script so you guys can see that. And this is how you add custom functionality. Unity has a bunch of components that's supposed to add audio, different lighting effects, different particle effects. But once to really make the most out of it, you want to do your own thing, right? If you want to add a player mover that makes your player jump every few seconds, I don't know why you would want to do that, but maybe that's something. You can make a script for it, right? So I can just right click, create new C# script. It's going to open up. Are we doing on time? Okay, so good. Okay, it's going to open up whatever IDE you might have in your computer. And IDE is just an integrated development environment. So where you code in, it's as simple as that. Just where you code in. There's a lot of them. Right, and then when you open up a Unity script, you're going to see two functions right off the bat, right? You have a start function, and then you have an update function, right? A start function is called, right? It happens in your game as soon as the game starts, right? It's as simple as that. As soon as the game starts, this is the first thing that you might do, right? An update function is called every single frame over and over again, right? You don't have to use these functions, but it's what they give you, and they're definitely very helpful in Unity. Can anyone think, just be creative here, why, an example of when you would use a start function? Anything you're making, when you want something to happen in the very beginning of anything you're making. Go ahead. Exactly. That's actually a perfect example. If you want the UI, right, and you want the UI to pop up something right in the beginning, that's a good example. Anything else? Let me get one more. I think. One example, I guess, of myself is I was making a game. I was making a chess game, but this was kind of unique because each of the chess pieces kind of had their own. It was kind of like a war game, but with chess pieces, right? And you can move the chess pieces, and they each had their own health. So I initialized the health of each chess piece in the very beginning of the game to 100. Right, that's a small example of something you might do at the start. Any example of what you want to do continuously, like with an update function. Okay, you want to think of something you might want to do over and over again, right? Every single frame. Get this out the way.
Like update all the characters' movement every time like the player hits like like.
Yep, perfect. If someone is using WSD arrow keys, and you want to detect that, right? They might not be always hitting WASD, but if you want to detect that, you have to constantly be checking for that. And so that's something you might use the update function for. If player is using key code W, then move the player forward. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, if you guys are still installing Unity, use 2021 there. And just so you guys can visualize this, I'm just gonna put a bunch of debug statements here. What's the first thing that everyone computer scientist learns? Let's go hello world. Right. And then something that we want to happen over. Yeah. Now, looking at this code, and if I were to put this on a game object in my scene and run it, what do you think would happen? Right, and just from the definition that I gave. Hello Technica, right? And let's actually see that right here. There, I'm gonna add my, once you make a script, it doesn't actually do anything until you add it to a game object, because like I said, scripts are consider themselves custom components there. So you can just add it to whatever game object. I'm just gonna add it to this one there, and you see it pop up in the inspector, whatever script that you just added, you see it pop up in the inspector just like the component would. And if I were to press play, it would go. If I were to press play, where would it go? Like it's something I said in the beginning there. So if the scene is your canvas, if I were to press play, it would go to where? Like where would the camera switch to? It's one of the, I'm kind of hovering over it, but you guys can't actually see the word. So it's no cheating here. The game view, right? It will actually go to the game view, which is what your camera sees. So if I were to press play here, go back to my scene there. You're now technically in play mode. This is how you might test your game just to see what the user is seeing. This doesn't really matter. We haven't added any functionality here. But if we were to go to our console, let me make sure. Behavior, yep, perfect. And you see right here, let me actually get out play mode and do it again. It says hello world once, right? And it continuously does hello Technica over and over and over again 50 million times. So one thing that you should know, and this might seem obvious to some people, is be very careful what you're doing every single frame, right? You can quickly find out that can crash your computer. If you're doing something really computationally expensive every single frame there. So be careful how you use it. Let me give you an example. Does anyone have any questions about scripts? Okay. So let me give you an example of how you might use your own variables to use scripts there. So let's take the help example there, right? Where I'm just going to do a public health and just set it to 100. Right now, if I were to go into my Unity scene, what do you think we'll see in the component? Right, just an example. Like if I were to make this variable a public variable and say health 100, if I were to look in my inspector for that variable, what do you think I'll see? That's your question. Public health 100, right? And you see it right here. And the cool thing about Unity and why it's such a powerful tool is you can quickly change the values of things right here. So if you just want to test, oh, his health is way too high. Let me make it 1, right? Okay, maybe that's too low, but 50, right? There. And then you can just test how that might look like. So it really interfaces well with the IDE there. One cool thing that I'm gonna do right now is maybe I want the color of this to be purple near the beginning, right? So I could just do materials that get material. Oh yeah, get mesh renderer dot material dot color, and then I can just do color dot. Someone else give me another color. All right, I heard pink first. All right, so you can just do dot pink.
5 minutes if you want to start wrapping up.
Yeah. Okay. Pink down option. Oh, they're hating on pink. So let's do red there. And so what do you think will happen to whatever game object I added this to near the beginning of it? It will turn red, right? And so the game object I added this to is this. Let's actually add it to every single one. This is fun. These. More visible. Then I press play. That's the last thing we'll do. Right, it turns red, right? So unfortunately, we are slowly running out of time. I really wanted you guys to have a chance to play with Unity. But unfortunately, I didn't take into account Unity is a very large editor, and you might not have it installed there, and we might not be able to go through the process there. But definitely, you're not going to get much from this workshop by just doing Unity right now. You have to really work on it and do it outside, right? You have to do it outside of this workshop and just keep on playing with it. So here they have a bunch of resources for you. They have YouTube videos. It's probably one of the most well-documented things ever. They have Unity documentation, Unity Learn. And then the XR Club itself, we are a group that focuses on virtual reality and augmented reality development. And that first starts with Unity development. And I have a good feeling. Our leadership group is very, they have good experience with the platform. So we are also a resource for you guys, if you guys want to join us and help us on our Discord there. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, you can ask it now. Thank you guys for coming, and you guys have a blessed Technica.
Good luck, everyone.